Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much for waiting for us again to debrief you on the agenda of the first Foreign Affairs Council this year, chaired by the High Representative Josep Borrell, who will now share with you a few points from the discussions. High Representative, you have the floor.
Good afternoon. Well, to be the first meeting of the year, we have had a very tough agenda, a very heavy agenda. Let me run through our discussion. First, we started with Russia and the events around Alexey Navalny, the arrest of Navalny and the crackdown on supporters. The Council considered it completely unacceptable, condemned the mass detentions and the police brutality over the weekend, and we call on Russia for the release of Mr Navalny and those detained. I informed the Council about my intention of visiting Moscow, attending a long-lasting invitation from Minister Lavrov. It's going to take place in the first week of February. It will be a good opportunity to discuss with my Russian counterpart all relevant issues, to pass clear messages about the current situation, the contentious on rights and freedoms, and also to have a strategic discussion on our relation with Russia, since on March the European Council is going to have a session devoted to this relationship with Russia. So I think it's good before the European Union Council discuss strategically about this relationship, to discuss with our Russian counterpart. Then we talk about the situation of the coronavirus and the strategy for sharing vaccines. I'm strongly convinced that a fair vaccine distribution around the world is a part of the solution, not only for reasons of global solidarity, but for reasons of our own health security. We will not be safe until everyone will be safe. We have been exploring ideas and possibilities for member states to share vaccines with third countries, which is for sure difficult due to the difficulties that some member states are facing on their own vaccination process. We discuss about the upcoming relations with the US and the work that we have ahead with a new administration and a series of key global issues, from climate change to Iran and DCPOA, and the most important ones, the most urgent ones, and the ministers are ready for a new start. At the end, we discuss all aspects of our relation with Turkey, as identified in the December Council conclusions, including regarding sanctions. We took note of the important message sent since the European Union Council by the Turkish authorities and the gestures offered. We reaffirmed the importance of engaging with Turkey in order to advance in and on consolidate our dialogue and cooperation. Today is the launching of exploratory talks between Greece and Turkey. This is an important step in this direction. I think that UNCLOS provides a solid basis for addressing maritime disputes, since we are defending international law. This is one example of international law. It will be equally important to ensure the restart of United Nations-led Cyprus settlement on the framework of the United Nations process. Talks should start as soon as possible, and the European Union is ready to be invited as an observer, as it happened on the past round of talks. We will accompany closely these developments and will continue our engagement with Turkey in view of the report I will have to present to the European Council in March together with the Commission, taking very much into account the December Council conclusions and how things will develop in the following weeks from any point of view. At the same time, the repair will continue their work according with the Council conclusions. We also raised the case of Giulio Regeni. This is a serious matter for Italy and so for the entire Union. We continue to call on Egypt to fully cooperate with Italian authorities for the accountability and for justice to be served. And one of the most important issues of this meeting has been a video conference with the Foreign Minister of Japan, Toshimitsu Motegi, which reconfirmed that the EU and Japan are like-minded partners in a turbulent international environment on all fronts. And I have to thank Minister Motegi for a very, very interesting presentation on the Indo-Pacific region situation and political and economic prospects. We have agreed on looking for a green alliance between us and accelerate our ambitious climate action and green transition, and the increasing strategic importance of the Indo-Pacific region, which makes our cooperation with Japan unavoidable, important and unavoidable. We shared concerns on escalating tensions in the South China and East China Seas, and also about the situation in Hong Kong. On this last issue, we discussed with ministers the urgency for Chinese and Hong Kong authorities to respect the rule of law, human rights, and democratic principles. I'll also briefly touch the issue of Bosnia-Herzegovina, where I informed the ministers about our actions to address the situation of migrants who were forced to sleep outside in freezing temperatures over recent weeks in front of shelters fully equipped and built and paid by the European Union, that the local authorities deny access to these people. We analyzed the situation in the Horn of Africa, where we urgently need to prevent further destabilization. I fully informed the ministers about the situation in the Tigray region in Ethiopia, the situation also along the Sudanese Ethiopian border, and we will have to put more political pressure in order to settle the dispute through a diplomatic and peaceful means. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Finland, Pekka Haavisto, will travel as an envoy of the EU in order to visit the region early February, together with our EU Special Representative, Mr. Rondos, on the same way that the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Portugal has been visiting Mozambique. We adopted conclusions on Venezuela, reaffirming the statement approved by unanimity immediately after the elections, marking the consensus on how to proceed in our efforts to help finding solutions to the crisis. Now more than ever, I call on Venezuelan leaders to think about their citizens and sit down and talk realistically about how to overcome an unsustainable political situation. But the ministers reaffirmed its agreement with the statement that we issue about the role of the opposition and the ongoing National Assembly. Finally, together with Commissioner Executive Vice President Timmermans, we had a long discussion on climate and energy diplomacy, very much aware that we are advancing towards the end of the fossil fuel era, that we have to manage the energy transition, to look for a fair climate financing. We will need a lot of resources in order to multiply by 5 the share of the renewable resources, currently 5% of the energy consumption at the global level. It will require foreign investment strategies. The European Investment Bank is leading the way with its climate bank plans. I recently presented a paper together with the chairman of the bank, and we will discourage all further investments into fossil fuel-based energy infrastructure projects in third countries and support initiatives to phase out fossil fuels here at home. And we will engage mainly in Africa. Africa is today only 2% of the global emissions, 2%, due to the low level of energy consumption per capita in Africa. This consumption will have to increase if we want the Africans, which they too are growing in number, to have the same level of quality of life. They will have to increase their energy consumption and at the same time not to increase the CO2 emissions. This will require a gigantic effort, and we will have to be standing together with our African partners. Climate will be a key part of our African partnership. Finally, as you see, I used the word finally several times because it was a long list of issues. Finally, touch our cooperation with the UK in matters of common foreign and defence policy. You know that the UK didn't want to negotiate any structured cooperation about these matters, but we are ready to engage with the UK on major global issues, be it climate change or working together in the global response to the coronavirus pandemic. Allow me to highlight some conclusions. To put in practice the concept of maritime coordinated presence, for the first time, we have launched a pilot case in the Gulf of Guinea. This is a maritime area of high interest for us, where piracy attacks is not yet the Somalian coast, but there are cases of kidnappings, attacks to boats and other illegal activities that put at risk commercial routes and the security of the region. It will be a pilot case for our coordinated presence of our maritime assets. What does it mean in practice? This means that member states which are already present in the region will share information, awareness, analysis, and promote together international cooperation at sea and the coastal countries to address the increasing security challenges in the region. It has been a long but fruitful meeting in a moment in which the coronavirus is the most important concern for all member states, and the issue of sharing vaccines is in the table, trying to look for a stronger engagement by the member states.
Thank you very much, High